ladies and gentlemen, we're back again
Charlie.
with the latest happening in Ghanaian politics. Today, Charlie, the things we are going to talk about in the boss mind. So
Yeah.
as usual, it's me, Bright, with
Isaac.
boy.
Isaac, Charlie. Charlie.
Yeah,
And then
today Isaac, you know they see better, but how we go do Charlie,
why are you bringing attention to my eyes?
We'll talk about this later. Koforidua boy get allergies. Anyway, so
you are divulging personal health records. You know that is against the HIPAA laws.
I beg, HIPAA, can I HIPAA? Anyway, so yeah, something happened from the NDC camp.
Charlie.
You know the election time is nearing, right? And
Yeah.
you know, people are making their choices, giving speeches, and all of that. So His Excellency John Dramani Mahama went to, should I say, well, it's not like Genti Adada, right? So last time he brought Professor Naana, right? Who was, I think, former VC at UCC, right?
Yes, former VC at UCC and former education minister as well.
Right. Yeah. So she gave a speech, you know, kind of like acceptance speech, right? And then
said it was
people are saying she dropped some bars.
Yeah, Charlie, the woman give it to a lot of people. She addressed a lot of people in the speech. I mean, of course, when you go to the NPP side, some of the commentary I've been hearing is that she didn't really do anything. The NDC people too are saying that Charlie, she gave. In fact, during the speech part, Charlie, the places where when I was listening to the speech, the part which was fascinating to me was whenever she drops a string of like big words, then everybody's like, I'm like, yo, is that
Professor? How do you know Ghana? Now we and Brofo, you know, when we hear big words, big English.
Charlie, we didn't like.
So what do you make? I guess what do you make of the overall message, right? Like what do you think she tried to achieve, and do you think she achieved it?
I think for me, I think she was just trying to present herself as like somebody who is ready for the politics, right? Because when I listened to the speech, right, she didn't give a lot of policy positions. There were a few things in there. For example, she said she re-echoed the policy, the 24-hour policy that Mahama said that they will bring. She also re-echoed 1 million coders, which we have our own theories and conversations about that. But then she also spoke about some women development bank. That one too. We have our own. We'll get into policies a little bit.
Right.
But I think most of what she was trying to do was to say, this is the record of the MPP. This is the record of the NDC. The NPP have done worse than the NDC. They haven't managed the economy properly. And through some jabs at Baumia and the way he has been posturing and acting like he's a mate and not the driver and all of that. So there were some jabs and things in there. And then she even went after, things like corruption and all of that, directed to the government. And then interestingly, she also went after the EC and said that the election has to be free and fair. We've heard about some missing biometric devices and all of that. She tried to punch there and say, hey, this election is not going to be like, business as usual, and that we are going to come and we are going to boot for boot. The NDC will even launch some some people are saying the boot is called Yezu Jordan. So that's how I saw it. I saw to finish, I saw her as coming out as like, I'm not going to be as quote unquote timid as I was in 2020, because I don't think she was very engaging and confrontational in 2020. This time, I think she was coming up with this same like Baumia playbook. And you see, Baumia 2008, he wasn't very hot. 2012, we went to the court and then we could see him. By 2016, the guy was like giving lectures and fire.
Place, yeah.
So that's what I think she was trying to do.
Yeah, and I actually think she did a good job overall at that, right? This is a resurfacing of Prof. Naana, the strong woman that NDC needs, right? But so she did well on that, but it's also a question of like, is she bringing in the votes? Like, and a lot can change. A lot can change from now till when we go into the election, right?
Yeah.
But so first, as a woman, right? It's easier to try and resonate with the
The
women,
women.
right? And stuff like that. But she's also a highly educated, and some might argue an elite
Elite.
woman,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So how much of a big responsibility, right, or how much of work does she have to do to sort of bridge that? Oh, I mean, she might not agree to this, but she is an elite woman, right? She has
Yeah,
achieved a
professor
lot,
there.
fantastic
I
work,
look
right?
there. All her children are. I don't know if they are PhDs or medical doctors, but three of them, all of them are doctor, doctor. She's a professor.
Exactly,
Like
right.
she's not.
So
Yeah,
she's not your typical Ghanaian woman, right?
yes,
Unfortunately, we're
the
not there
average.
yet,
Yeah,
right? So she is, yeah. So how much do you think has to go into trying to really resonate with the masses, right?
yeah,
Especially the women, right? To
yeah,
pull in the votes from
yeah.
that perspective.
I think that's where like retail politics comes in, right? Where like you are going to the communities, they are seeing you,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why sometimes people take it a little bit too far. Like MPs are washing draws and
See that matter,
that people take it too far. But like for example,
Mm-hmm.
here in America, right? Somebody like Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a billionaire, but for
Mm-hmm.
some reason his base is like working class, like people in the rural communities and things. For some reason,
Yeah.
they
Well,
they are there.
we kind of have some theories, right? I mean, he
Yeah,
says things people like to hear. Let's just
that's what
put
I'm
it that way.
saying. So it's
Right.
like even though he's not for some reason some working class guy thinks that he relates with him and cannot relate with, for example, Hillary Clinton. Donald
Mm-hmm.
Trump is richer than Hillary Clinton, but Hillary Clinton just came off as like, oh yeah, hi, the way you are saying, right?
Elite.
So
Mm-hmm.
the elite. So that's what Nana has to do. Come down to the level of the people. She has to be able to speak their language, right? Not
Mm-hmm.
not in particular. Like some of the words that she was using in the speech were, very how do they call it? Brofonos or song. But I
As an
think
Ashanti, I struggled with pronouncing some of those words, but hey.
I think on that stage it's okay, to
Mm-hmm.
announce yourself in that way is okay. But when
Mm-hmm.
when they go down to the basics, she has to be able to speak the language of the people, like bring it down to their level, break things
Mm-hmm.
down, the things that they want to hear, the things that they think that this current government is not doing well, that they can come and do, and the
Mm-hmm.
policies that they will come up with must resonate with the people. Charlie, people, we want
Right.
solutions. So it's not only
Mm-hmm.
just you have rebranded yourself and you are this and that and
Right.
that. And
Yeah.
no, Charlie, on the so auditorium hall. If we
Uh-huh.
catch the constituency, Charlie, people will just say massacre
Yeah.
of your
And
cry.
yeah, so speaking of solutions, she did touch on a couple of things, right?
Yeah,
Um, you talk about, I think one that stood out to me was the the Women Development Bank. Why are you laughing?
because she said. Continue. What do you have for and or against the women
So I
development
mean,
bank?
so this is the thing, right? With
Mm,
I appreciate that politicians try to come up with like an original idea,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Which is good. I mean, that's how we're gonna move, right?
yeah,
But I can't help but wonder, like, do we need a special development bank for women, right?
yeah,
When so what is the main problem with banking and finance in our country,
yes.
right?
Mhm, mhm.
Somehow, is it just not having a bank dedicated to women the main problem? I would argue not,
I don't think
right?
so.
Exactly. So again, on paper, it sounds like, oh, it's a new idea, it will help women. But when you start drilling down, like how is it actually going to help the women? So is it that when a woman shows up, they want loan just because they are a woman, you give them the loan, right? What
Yeah.
interest rate are you going to give them, right? Like what? Yeah. So that one, I was like, oh, this sounds interesting, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's what it will end up being is just going to be another bank, and they've created so many of them for various purposes. For example,
Mm-hmm.
NIB is National Investment Bank, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or right now, they've even I don't know. I think they've changed it or whatever. As they
Mm-hmm.
improve investments in Ghana, ADB is
Mm-hmm.
Agricultural Development Bank. We don't have any
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
massive.
Yeah.
In fact, ADB, I don't know if they are purposefully like only financing agricultural projects or majority of the loans they give out for agricultural projects. I don't
Mm-hmm.
see anything that it has moved in
You
our
know,
economy
yeah,
by
you look
creating the
back
bank.
and say by setting up this bank, we have moved from this stage to that stage, right? Across some
Yeah,
years.
they and I think I don't know the the statistics when it comes to like women accessing loans and things. Maybe she has some study that there's some discrimination going on in the way that loans are contracted. I don't know. But she said that those ones were the loans that they were going to give were for like petty, like low volume of loans, not very big loans. That's what she said in her speech. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
there are other institutions for that. There's like Maslock, for example. And I would assume that if you
Yeah.
look at if
Uh-huh.
you look at Ghana, for example, right, a lot of women are like quote unquote entrepreneurs because like they are the traders and all of those things. Those people can go to Maslock and
Mm-hmm.
get a
Mm-hmm.
loan if they have a good policy. Now the question
Mm-hmm.
is
Mm-hmm.
Maslock being
Mm-hmm.
run properly? And if you set up a women
Mm-hmm.
development bank, would that
How is
necessarily
it going to be?
going to
Yeah.
be run? Is the running of the bank that's the problem? You can set up a women development bank and give loans to the women. I don't think just setting up the bank is the problem. Is the bank going to be run properly? Are we going to be able to, like, we have very high default rate on loans? Are women going to be able to pay the loan just because they are women? So how do you position them in such a way that they can use it to do what they need to do and they can pay it back? I think that's the most important thing. So you right now, Mama Jean has given her speech. In summary, what did you make of it? And we can move on to uniforms and things.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think for the speech, like you said, she came in. She is a vice presidential candidate, right?
Yeah,
She has to connect with the people. The key point for a vice president is to pull in the votes from a political standpoint. But then,
of the
of course, once
president.
you
Yeah,
become vice president, right? I mean, that's the immediate need for the party right now, right? But then the broader need as Ghanaians, you want somebody who, again, won't just be a driver's mate, right? Somebody
yeah,
who has ideas that are practical that can actually work, right? Because you advise the president one way or the
yeah,
other,
yeah,
right? So I think through her speech, she delivered this message of I am the right VP, candidate,
hmm,
and I'm confident. I have ideas. I can do the job,
yeah,
right? I think on that level, she did that. She didn't really give a lot of promises, which is I understood. I mean, understandable, right? Because
yeah,
she's a vice president,
hmm,
right?
hmm,
She did try to connect with the women, which I think is one of the main areas that she could pull in the votes. But
yeah.
I think that could still use some work,
Okay.
in my opinion.
Anyway, we are not me, Charlie, all the politicians. I don't know, but let's move. They say they are changing the school uniform. They say they are changing the school uniform and the building, the pay. Yo, Charlie, like why? Like me, sometimes I ask myself,
Priorities, priorities,
like what is the
priorities,
what
my
is what
brother.
is the meaning of this? I think in 2019 they announced that they were changing uniforms like during their same tenure. And then now they say they are changing the school uniform to white
Wait,
and
so
blue.
what is wrong with the uniform?
The Gogonte and
What is no what is the argument? So what is the
I don't
what
know,
is their
bro. Like
basis for?
I don't know. I swear, like I don't know. Like like sometimes I
Because I
like
think that uniform, that uniform is. I mean, see, let's look at things in totality, right? We live in a society where we barely have pavements,
yeah,
right? Our
yeah,
roads are almost always dusty, right?
yeah,
So these students, that color that we have, right?
yeah.
Not the dirty, like the
The
cyan
school
are
building,
dirty.
the uniform itself, all of them have a certain
Exactly.
color. That's okay for.
Exactly. That's my point. I saw in the video they had like white shirts with ties and stuff, right? I don't know if they are
Yo,
moving towards white shirts, right?
that's what
But
they
my
say they
point
are
is
doing.
that,
They say they are doing white and blue.
yeah, so why would you, this kind of is common sense, right? Why would you do white shirts in a dusty situation, right? That right there is just common sense. So again, should we even be talking about uniforms in the
See,
first
and
place? Should
I
we
saw
be talking
somebody's
about? Mhm,
post on social media, right? Like,
mhm,
see, if we even want to change the school uniform, right? This is a big.
mhm,
It's not. It's not. It is a small thing, but it's also a big thing. right? That it is not what is needed at this point. Like, it is not broken. Why are you trying to fix it? And where you are taking us to with this white shirt and all of that stuff, it doesn't even work in the context, right? Because now you need to paint the schools more often and all of that. But then the brown and whatever has become like a certain national identity, right? That this is the school uniform that we wear. Okay. Then one person just gets up and says, I'm changing it. The cost implications of procuring school uniforms for all of them, painting the schools and everything. This is a national conversation, cost implications, national identity, and all of that stuff. It is not something that we should even be spending time talking about now, or even spending our resources to try and change all of these things. But hey, it seems that our leaders.
So my argument is simple, right? I think that if we had a good, first of all, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think uniforms and paintings of school buildings come up anywhere close to our top 5 or so priorities, right?
Yeah,
I don't think it's there, right? So that's one. Now, if somehow you realize that there is a strong case for the need to change the uniform, right? For instance, we are wearing white, right? And you know that, oh, this white thing, like, it gets dirty easily, like parents you have to wash it and stuff. I would argue something like that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So it may not even be top of our list, but it's good to do. Do you get it?
Exactly.
Me, when I saw the news, I was like, bro, this is like you're picking an insignificant thing, right, and prioritizing it, and then creating a big problem out of it.
Let's talk about a big problem that we should rather be thinking of solving: flooding. Dubai, recently there has been a flood. Kenya, Charlie, the way they are suffering there. Our own Ghana, we know that every June, July, there will be flooding.
It's coming.
So it is coming. Instead of us to think about how to solve that one, we are thinking of how we change school uniform. What do you make of the flooding that is,
Yeah, I think that in our country, we have issues with prioritizing.
Yeah.
Right. Like let me just
your mind.
as a hitia, but I make a
who
you see, you have very important things, very critical things, right? Flooding. Your cities are always flooded, right?
Yeah.
What are the immediate steps you need to take?
Yeah.
Do you get it? First of all, and it's not even rocket science. We do know why these cities flood, right? When the rains come, right? What steps are we taking to address them?
Nothing.
Do you get it? Nothing. Right now, to take our bad, city planning and, infrastructure, right? Couple that with what may be, climate change, right? The consequences thereof, right? The levels that we have, people die, unfortunately, property get destroyed, but we have somehow learned to live with it.
Yeah.
Right? Now, my biggest fear is if that gets escalated, right, because of maybe some of these other existential crises, right, then it's going to be disastrous.
We make sure,
exactly.
But our leaders are concerned with changing school uniform.
Now, even for education, right? I have said this on this channel. I'll keep saying it. For me, it's a question of, we have practiced education for 67 years, right? Since independence, right?
Yeah.
What have we gotten out of it?
We got you,
bro.
Aren't you educated? But I'm frustrated. Like, I read it, I was like, what is this?
No, I know you are just being ridiculous. But the point is that what have we produced, right? What solutions have we provided? Do you get it? What have we made aside the raw materials? We always just, you'll go to a mine, you'll weigh a mine. Do you get it? Like, people are focusing on making, saving car batteries, semiconductor chips, even fashion, clothing, right? Like, pick a niche that you're
You
really
are known
good
for.
at, you are known for, right? That has value.
Cool.
It could even be as simple as your cocoa, no, right? We keep crying about, oh, the chocolate industry is billions of dollars and we get peanuts, right?
Yeah.
At least the education that we've been practicing all the way to this point, if we can move our cocoa to chocolate before we ship it out, that alone is progress.
Yeah.
Did you get it? So what are the things that are blocking us, right, from having an education system that allows? Of course, you also need to throw in finance and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Then you have students learning under trees, right? Now, if you ask me, if you have to choose between changing uniform or painting versus learning in a classroom versus tree, I mean, come on.
Could you let's wrap this video up, right? I mean, I'm getting pissed off because Charlie.
Yes. So the bottom line is
Charlie, viewers.
no. So the bottom line is that I think Ghana, yeah, we need to get our priorities right.
Yeah.
Right. And this whole, this one is just cool to say that thing. It's not taking us anywhere.
Yeah.
Elections are around the corner. Please, politicians, we want to hear things that can actually work. And you see, it's not just even things that can work, right? First of all, you got to ask yourself, the fact that you can do something doesn't mean you should do it, right? If that thing that you are proposing works, what is the upside? Like, what is the value? Do you get it? And we need to. So Nana's speech was, I think it did a good job with just the unveiling of a vice president and showing that she's a formidable force. I think she has some work to do to connect with the women base, right? But overall, I think it was good. Some of the process she can't talk, those 11 million coders or 1 million coders or whatever. I don't think we are there yet. Let's face it, right?
Charlie, let's go. Me, I'm tired.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching again. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. Share the video, comment. Let us know what you think about the speech if you've seen it. Let us know what you think about, how Ghanaians we prioritize our, our things overall. Like, I mean, our governments, right?
Yeah.
And what direction that you think our nation is headed. So we will catch you next time. All right.
I'll
bye.
probably be in a better mood. Bye.